Our next session this morning is entitled Code Signing, and I'd like to introduce Ashish Gupta. Ashish is a domain expert on data security, having 2 decades of experience in this area, specializing in encryption, tokenization, and PKI services. He has executed multiple projects in this domain. He is very passionate about cybersecurity and has played multiple roles during his tenures, such as solutions architect, consultant, delivery manager, and service management head for data security. Ashish is currently working as vice president at Standard Chartered Bank in data security domain and is involved in setting up encryption, tokenization, CLM, and PKI services. Please welcome Ashish Gupta.
Said I'm going to talk about digital code signing. The presentation today I'm going to show is going to explain you the importance of digital code signing for any organization for their data protection or for their information protection. I will walk you through the challenges that typically industry faces when deploying digital code signing, and how to perceive or how to think about deploying this solution to make it a successful program. So we'll dive into the presentation straight away from here. The agenda of the presentation is I'll start with the storytelling, then I'll explain you what are digital example of how code signing should be done with DevOps and things to consider when you want to deploy a code signing, and then we will have a question and answer session. So the story here talks about a medieval king. He was not well, and he wanted to consult a pharmacist. Unfortunately, the pharmacist was not staying in the same city. So the king has to send his messenger or the king's man to get the prescription from the doctor. The the pharmacist very gladly prescribes the medicine, but what he does is he stamps the prescription and gives to the kingsman. So when the kingsman receives the prescription, when the king medicine pharmacist who receives the prescription, he first validates that the prescription is sealed. Then he opens a prescription, creates the medicine or gives the medicine to the king. Now, if you see, the king lives longer and he is fortunate enough to survive, and then he lives longer. In the second situation, if you see, the same pharmacist sends a medicine to the king in another situation, but unfortunately, the king does not survive. Now, what can be the reason the king did not survive? There can be 2 reasons or 2 or 3 reasons why the king could not survive. One is that the prescription was not sealed and it was not stamped. So obviously somebody in between would have changed the prescription and the wrong medicine would have been given to the king. In second situation, let us assume that the prescription was sealed and it was stamped by the logo, but this, the king could not survive. What the reason behind this could be that somebody had a copy of the seal. So what would have happened is the person would have exchanged the information or replaced the information and restamped it and given it to the king. Now, this is what the presentation or the story of code signing is. It provides 2 important aspects of information security. First is it gives the identity of a person, that the person who is sending this information is the one who is claiming to be. And the second is that the information is not tampered. So the prescription in this case, in the first situation, was not tampered and the king survived. So this is what a digital signing does in this technology generation or in this age. So what are digital signatures? So digital signature, as I said, validates the identity of the sender. It validates the information. It validates the integrity of the information. It helps you to ensure that the information was not altered. It is also a very standard and a very standard way of exchanging information between 2 or more parties in a trusted way. Digital signatures also gives you ability to validate your software codes or the executables that you deploy in the organization, so that it is secure from any malwares or any impacts. And this is what our topic is. I will explain you the importance of code signing. What does it use? The code signing uses an asymmetric cryptography. So basically, there is a key pair, a private key, and a public key. These two keys are encapsulated in a digital certificate. So digital certificates gives you the validity of or the authenticity of the holder of the certificate. So it has certain attributes like the name of the holder of the certificate, who has issued, what is the validity of the certificate, and what are the use cases or how the certificate can be used. Let it be encryption, or it can be a code signing in our case, or digital signing, and so on. It also provides non-repudiation. So basically, if somebody claims that he has signed this information, the other person can go in the court of law and defend that the information was signed, and vice versa. I'm going to give a little insight about digital signatures. As I explained it, it uses asymmetric cryptography. Now let us take case of modern world, which is Alice and Bob. Now Alice wants to send some information, say in this case, a profit statement to Bob. How does digital signature works in the signing part and the verification part? If you can see here, the quarterly statement is run through a hashing algorithm, which is a standard hashing algorithm like MD4. It produces a hash. Now this hash is unique. So for every message, there is a unique hash that is produced, and it is repetitive. Now if the information is changed in between, the hash will also change. This hash is then encrypted with a less private key. So, and then it becomes a digital signature. Now this digital signature is attached to the message, and it is sent to Bob. How does Bob validate this digital signature? So Bob receives this message. He also receives the signature. He does two things. He first runs the digital signature and decrypts it with Alice's public key. Now the decryption process always will give back the original message. So in this case, it is the MD4 hash. The same message is also Bob's does is he runs the same message with the same hashing algorithm that Alice was using, and it also produces the same hash. Now he compares both the hash. If both the hash are matching, it means that message came from Alice because it was validated by her public key, and second, the message was not altered in the way on the way. So, but if the hash doesn't match, then it means that there is some issue and some problem, or the message was either not sent by Alice, or uh, it was altered on the way. Now I'm going to talk about the key components of digital signature. As I said, it contains a digital certificate. The certificate contains two parts, asymmetric key pairs. One is a private key, the other is the public key. The certificate also has some other attributes which defines the identity of a person, and it is signed by a certificate authority. Now it can be your own private certificate authority if you're using the certificate internally in the organization, or it can be external certificate authority if you are signing and giving the information to outside of your organization. It also has certain more attributes like extended validity, where you can define if the private key has to reside in a software or in a hardware. And that is what the use of HSMs are. HSMs are used to secure the private keys of any digital certificates or any cryptographic key for that matter. It is supposed to be one of the most secure hardware devices where you cannot tamper with the private key. Uh, and third component is the signing application. Now we need a signing application. It can be a small application, or it can be a very well-built application with having a lot of workflows and validities and checks. Main purpose of signing application is to sign the information using the private key, which is stored on one of the secured appliance like HSMs or on the software. I would not recommend to store the certificates, private keys on the software, because it is against the best practices. So For all reasons, the private keys, which are supposed to be very secure, have to be stored in some kind of a hardware secured model. It can be USB or it can be a HSM appliance. So why do we need code signing? Now let us dive into the code signing part. Why do we need code signing? So as I said, code signing is important to protect your organization information, I would say, critical information, because if you don't sign your code and suppose it contains some malware, it can get executed on your systems, and it can exploit your environment and steal the information. As you all know, that software is used in every business, every industry these days, whether it is manufacturing, it is energy, it is health, life science, it is banking. Software executable codes are used everywhere, and it is very important to ensure that these softwares are free from any defects or malwares. We all know that cyber attacks are on the rise. In the recent past, we have seen a lot of attacks, and I'm going to touch upon some of those hacks, which actually have utilized this lacuna of the proper code signing. As you also know, these days, as I said, cyber attacks are on the rise. The attackers also are becoming very smart, and they are moving from the traditional way of stealing the private keys and signing into a more sophisticated attacks where they want to do less, but they want to create a bigger impact. And one such example is supply chain attack. So instead of stealing the private key and trying to sign the information and then distribution becomes a very big problem. If the attackers somehow are managed able to attack the supply chain process, the distribution is taken care of. And this is what most of the sophisticated recent attacks have been doing. As I said, I'm going to touch upon some of the recent cyber attacks. In 2020, there was a very big cyber attack on SolarWinds. So SolarWinds has a component called Orion. Orion, it manages all the IT infrastructure of organization. It gives a lot of information in a single pane of dashboard. The hackers were smart enough. They took a lot of time, obviously, but they were able to inject in the supply chain management exactly probably after the code was generated and tested and before it was signed. So while the software was being signed, they found a way to inject their malware or the piece of code in between that process. Now, this software is used by a lot of customers across the globe. I think the it might be more than 33 or 35,000 customers that I have heard about who are using software. Now, this software went as a patch or an update to all these organizations, and they implemented thinking it's a patch. But to unfortunately, this patch was not a very good. It was not a safe patch. It had the malicious code in it, and this malicious code then impacted the customers who were using the software, and it became a very big issue in 2020. Similarly, CodeCove is another software. It is used by the DevOps team to test the softwares and before for the CI/CD continuous implementation. Uh, Again, in this case, the attackers were smart enough to identify a vulnerability in the software, and they were able to inject the malware. So whoever customers using the CodeCove for their CI/CD testing were probably impacted with this attack, where the malicious code then gave the control of the software to the hackers, and they were able to inject more and more malicious code in the organization. So these are some of the examples. There are many more examples. So it is very important to have a code signing done and following the right process to it. It's not about signing, but it is more about how uh, good you can deploy the solution in your organization. So I'm going to touch upon the challenges of code signing. As we know, as I explained you, that it is a very important aspect of any software execution in organization. Then why is it not being implemented, or why is it not being given the proper focus? So, and what are the challenges in running this as a program? One of the most important aspect is that code signing procedures are not well defined in the organization. I think every organization has to start by defining the information security policy and define the procedures how they want to run this information protection. So it is very important to go back and go through the policies and see that the procedures or policies code signing is mentioned somewhere, and there is a proper process of deploying or using a code signing in the organization. The other challenge with code signing is that code signing, the requirements are not very clear, because in a large organization typically you will see lots and lots of software codes. Some are small scripts, some are obviously big softwares, but there are many automation scripts now. Everybody is talking about automation. They're developing a lot of small scripts to automate things. So we need to be careful and understand the requirement, how deep is the requirement, where this software are going to be executed, and if there is a problem, if there is an attack, how much impact will this cause to the organization. Another problem is with the budgeting. I have seen that in most of the cases, code signing, the budgeting takes a backstage. Well, everybody understands information security or data security is very important, but it becomes a constant because there are other priorities on the organization. The ownership of code signing is not defined, obviously, because the code signing is typically done by the application teams or people who are building this automation scripts. Now, uh, code signing is also part of the security. So in organization where typically they have application teams, where have information security teams, there is a conflict between who should own the code signing process, like whether it should be the application side or it has to be on the security side. So this has to be very clearly defined, and the objectives have to be very clear. The other problem is lack of a secure infrastructure. So many organizations have deployed code signing, but they do not have a secure infrastructure, as in they do not have, I would say, HSMs. Keys are kept on the software or the server itself, and it might be a big issue. While you feel that you are signing the code and you're secure, there may be high chance that the keys have been compromised, and somebody is already making use of it. Other technology problems are scalability, because now in a large organization, my solution should support scalability. I mean, I should be able to scale out my infrastructure so that I can easily support all the demands in the organization. And obviously the complexity, because now we have so many different types of files, code, software, DevOps. Can the code signing solution support? So that is where the complexity comes in. You can probably support 10 things, but you can't support all. Uh, this has to be taken care of. Now, as I explained, code signing, I will be giving an example of code signing with DevOps. DevOps is now something which is very commonly used in all the organization, because it is faster and it can benefit the go life cycle of any application. So I think when we design a code signing, the code signing has to be, as I said, scalable, and it has to be fast and reliable. So a good way of implementing code signing in organization is to consider deploying it with the DevOps itself. Uh, uh, and it should be built as a microservices. If you see in this slide, you will see that the application is running as microservice. It is deployed on premise. It can be deployed on premise on a container, or it can be deployed on cloud, like Docker images, or on Kubernetes. Uh, so there are microservices. There is an application code. then in a whole cycle of code signing, you will have different aspects, like you want to do the vulnerability check of the code, then you want to do the hashing. So all of this can run as microservices. In that case, the scalability is not an issue. Uh, the application can write the code, it can generate the code, it can pass through the vulnerability check software which is available on as an image. Uh, After the validity, the vulnerability checks are done, when you are ensuring that everything is fine, you can create the hash of the code, and in the same instance of the container, you can have your own microservices for signing. Now, this signing piece or the image can pick the hash from the application, so that the signing process becomes faster. You do not want to do the hashing of your application code on the signing service. Uh, Ideally, it should be done outside. The hash of that should be taken, and using an API call, it should be passed to the signing service. The signing service, when internally connects to HSM, as I said, the keys has to be in HSM. It can connect to HSMs. Again, it is good to have API integration between the signing piece and the HSMs. HSMs can be deployed either on cloud or on premises. There are ways of connecting with HSMs. There are native PKCS11 libraries that you can connect, but I think it is important to have for scalability and for speed and for easy interoperability. It is important that the HSMs should expose APIs that the signing application can call and can process the signing operations faster. Typically, these transactions, if we are talking about the DevOps process, it should support few hundred, few thousand signings per second. So, so when we are talking about code signing, what are the things to consider? As I said, I will talk about the things to consider. I've given you some examples. It is very important for you, if you are perceiving to deploy code signing, it is very important that you understand the requirements, identify the requirements for code signing. In some cases, you might not even need a code, might not even need a code signing if your organization doesn't process any sensitive information. But if your organization processes any sensitive information and you have deployed lots of data protection information protection solution, code signing also should be given the same priority. As I said, include this in the information policy, so you can, because that is going to give the structure. There are, I would say that deploying code signing, I think the organization should consider deploying it centrally at a common place, because it is cost effective. It gives better control on the solution. It is supported by some niche skill engineers who are well versed with cryptography and the appliances. Uh, instead of doing it in silos where application team is doing the signing process, they might ignore some of the important aspects of security. So I would always advise to have a central signing solution managed by security experts. Then, as I said, code signing should be scalable. It should be able to support thousands of signing applications, because now with DevOps, it is very important to support this in a large scale. And last but not the least, and the most important point in fact, is that you must at all the times secure your private keys of the digital signing or the certificates or for the applications in a secured appliance like HSMs, so that the keys are always secured and they are not compromised. So with this, I end my session on code signing, and I am available for any question answer session. You can find my details on this slide. And thanks for attending and being patient on my talk. Thank you.